My name is Tamara. I'm standing in the living room of the house that was once my family's, now empty and cold. The fireplace is dark, and the hardwood floors creak under my feet. It's been 3 months since that fateful Christmas morning, and I'm finally back. I remember that morning like it was yesterday. At 6:40 a.m. My mother, Sarah, ripped my stocking off the mantel and threw it into the fire. "You've ruined every Christmas since you were born. We never wanted you here," she spat. My father, David, a 55-year-old construction worker, slammed a trash bag of my clothes against my chest so hard I hit the wall. "Finally, pack your stuff and get the hell out of our house," he growled. My sister, Lily, who is 20 and has a huge following on Instagram, stood on the stairs filming it all. "Good luck starting over, loser. No one in this family is going to miss a worthless burden like you," she laughed. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just took the small walnut box my grandfather, Henry, gave me 9 years ago, walked out into the snow, and drove to Central Bank. Let me take you back a bit. My grandfather, Henry, was a carpenter. He built cabinets for 35 years out of a small workshop on Elm Street. The workshop smelled like oak and varnish, and he always wore a denim apron with a burn mark from a piece of hot wood. When I was 7, my mother started dropping me off at his workshop after school. My sister was in all sorts of dance and art classes, while I spent my afternoons with my grandfather. He would give me a piece of oak and sandpaper and say, "Sandpaper goes with the grain, sweetie. Always with the grain. People are the same." I sanded oak for years, learning from him. When I was 14, my grandmother, Martha, passed away from a heart attack. My mother decided we should move into my grandfather's big old house. My father, who was often silent and submissive to my mother, didn't argue. The first night in the new house, I heard my mother in the hallway telling my father, "Just wait it out. He's 65, maybe a few more years." I knew even then that it was wrong to talk about your father like that. My grandfather must have heard it too because the next morning, he asked me to come to the workshop on Saturdays. I went every Saturday until he got sick. In 2018, at a family barbecue, my mother lost a cheap plastic bracelet she bought at a flea market. She accused me of taking it in front of all the guests. When I said I didn't, she slapped me across the face. My sister laughed, and my father looked away. My grandfather walked over, put his hand on my back, and took me inside. He filled a towel with ice and held it to my cheek. "Don't cry in front of her. Save it. Save everything," he whispered. The next day, he gave me a small walnut box. It was 10 inches long, 6 inches wide, and 4 inches tall, with dovetailed corners and a thin maple border on the lid. He burned my name, Tamara, on the top with a soldering iron. "Don't open this," he said. "Just keep it. Any time, any reason, any hour." I kept it at the bottom of my closet for the next 9 years. Every Christmas Eve from the time I was 11 until my grandfather died, he would find an excuse to take me to the workshop. Meanwhile, my mother would always announce at some point during Christmas Day that I had ruined the holiday. One year I spilled the punch, another year I forgot to set the table. It was always something. My grandfather got sick in August 2023. He had lung cancer, and it spread quickly. He died in September at the age of 72. At the funeral reception, my mother was the loudest crier. She stood by the bar, accepting condolences with a fake look of grief. I watched her eye the bookshelf where my grandfather kept his important papers. I knew she was already thinking about the inheritance. There was a clear difference in how my sister and I were treated. Lily went to a private boarding school, with tuition costing $30,000 a year. My mother said Lily had a special talent for art. I went to public school. When I asked about college at 17, my mother said, "Honey, college isn't for you. You're not academic. Maybe a trade school, if you can work for it." I worked at a local diner for 3 years and got an associate's degree in graphic design, taking out $12,000 in student loans. One summer, Lily took my car to take some Instagram photos at the beach and dented it. The repair bill was $2,000. My mother called me into the kitchen and said, "Your sister's career is taking off. We need to support her. Can you cover this? You're the responsible one." I paid the bill. 2 weeks later, Lily bought a new camera with money from a brand deal she hadn't told my mother about. In November 2024, my mother put a post on her Facebook page saying, "Big changes coming for our family. God is guiding us." It got a lot of likes. That same week, Lily's boyfriend, Jake, a 22-year-old fitness influencer, moved in. He took over my grandfather's old study and painted it black. He told me, "Your style doesn't fit our aesthetic here." I just went upstairs. On Christmas Eve, I came downstairs for a glass of water and heard my parents talking in the kitchen. "After tomorrow, it'll just be our real family," my mother said quietly. My father just nodded and poured the rest of his beer down the sink. I went back to my room, took the walnut box out of the closet, and set it on my nightstand. I didn't open it. I just stared at my name on the lid. The next morning, at 6:32 a.m. I woke up to the smell of cinnamon coffee. But there were too many footsteps in the hallway for that early. I sat up and saw a suitcase in the middle of my room. I knew what was coming. My mother came in with a trash bag and started throwing my clothes in. "Mom, what's happening?" I asked. She didn't answer. My father came in and took the bag from her, slamming it into my chest. I left the house in my socks, the cold snow seeping through. I drove to Central Bank. When I walked in, the bank manager, Mr. Thompson, a kind-looking man in his 60s, recognized me immediately. "Miss Tamara, sit down. What I'm about to show you is going to change everything your family just did to you," he said. He had me open the walnut box. Inside were 4 things: a brass house key with a tag that said front, 1975 in my grandfather's handwriting, a folded piece of paper that said any time, any reason, any hour, a business card for Central Bank with a number and a note saying "Tell Mr. Thompson you're the granddaughter. He'll know," and a black and white photo of my grandfather holding a baby, which was me, in the garden. Mr. Thompson then showed me a navy blue folder. It was a trust my grandfather had set up in 2018, just a few months after the barbecue incident. The house, worth approximately $380,000, was in a revocable living trust, with me as the sole beneficiary. When my grandfather died, the trust became irrevocable, and the house legally became mine. There was also a pot account at the bank with a balance of $90,000, which was now mine too. My grandfather had been saving money from his cabinet, making jobs over the years. He also showed me a manila envelope with records of my mother's 3 visits to the bank, trying to get access to my grandfather's accounts. Each time, she was told that the beneficiary designation was irrevocable. Mr. Thompson said my grandfather had instructed him not to contact me until I came in with the key. I also found a sealed envelope in the bank's safe deposit box. It was a letter from my grandfather. "Sweetie, if you're reading this, your mother did what I knew she would. I'm sorry I'm not there. I saw everything. I made sure you'd be okay. The house is yours, the money is yours. You're not a burden. Just come home," it said. After leaving the bank, I ignored the calls and texts from my family. I checked into a motel and slept for the first time in 26 hours. The next morning, I called an attorney, Miss Harris. She helped me serve my family with a 30-day notice to quit. My mother was furious. She tore up the notice, but the process server had it all on camera. My mother hired a lawyer, but he told her she had no case. On January 29th, when they still hadn't left, Miss Harris filed a summary proceedings complaint at the local court. The judge, a no-nonsense woman, ruled in my favor. The sheriff was scheduled to lock them out on February 22nd. My mother decided to go live on Lily's Instagram to tell her side of the story. She started crying and saying how I was doing this to them. But when she said, after everything I did for her, she made me burn her stocking, the comments turned against her. People were shocked that she had burned my stocking. When the sheriff arrived, there were over 60,000 people watching live. My father sat on the porch and said, "She owns the house. She always did." My mother was devastated. Lily lost several brand deals, and Jake broke up with her. My family moved into a small apartment in a less nice part of town. My mother closed her Facebook page, and Lily's Instagram following dropped significantly. My father sent me a long text saying he was sorry for not standing up for me all these years. Now, as I stand in this empty house, I look around. I go up to the attic and find a cardboard box labeled Tamara 2020 in my grandfather's handwriting. Inside, there's a Christmas stocking with my name embroidered in red thread, and 4 more small walnut boxes, just like the one he gave me. I hang the stocking on the mantel and set the walnut boxes on the workbench. I pull out my grandfather's tools and tie on his apron. I know I'm not a carpenter, but I'll learn, just like he taught me. Sandpaper with the grain, always with the grain. People are the same. My grandfather prepared a way for me, and I'm finally home.